So today's topic is the cardiac glycoside. So let us see cardiac glycosides, the drugs having the cardiac inotropic property and increase the force of contraction of the heart muscles. So they increase the myocardial contractility and improves cardiac output without proportionate increase in oxygen consumption. But side by they do not increase the heart rate. So the cardiac glycosides are only one of the inotropic content and increases the force of contraction. So they are useful in the various cardiac disorders like cardiac heart failure. We will see it in the further lecture. So digitalis is the genus name of the family of plants that provide most of the medically useful cardiac glycosides, that is the digoxin. So digoxin is one of the major cardiac glycoside that can be useful in the cardiac heart failure treatment and various cardiac arrhythmia. The next is the in this slide you can see the sources of glycosides. The different glycosides like cardenolides, bufadinolides, then digitalis purpurea giving the digitoxin, gitoxin, and gitalin. Then digitalis lanata giving the digitoxin, gitoxin, and digoxin. Strathos gives the cubane. Then Thavatica gives the thavatin. Then Convaluria majalis gives the convolotoxin. Then Bufo vulgaris gives the bufotoxin. Now, in the next slide, we are going to see the chemistry of this uh, our cardiac glycoside. So here you can see it is the aglycone part that is important for the pharmacological action of the cardiac glycosides. So this is the pharmacological active part of our cardiac glycoside, while the sugar that is glucose or digitoxose, this is not a pharmacological active part, but it gives the structure stability to our digitalis and cardiac glycosides. So let us see the pharmacological part of our digitalis. So first of all, we will see the digitalis mechanism of action here. So here you can see I have shown the diagrammatic representation of mechanism of action here. So first of all, let us understand how the digitalis is acting on our cardiac uh, tissue. So digitalis acting on the sodium potassium pump. So this is the sodium potassium pump where our digitalis is going to act, and this inhibits the this sodium potassium pump, and this sodium potassium pump is associated with the our exchange of calcium and potassium through the membrane of our heart muscle. So by which we can see when this is inhibiting the sodium potassium pump, the intracellular calcium is increased in the sarcoplasmic reticulum of the muscle, and this increase in the calcium gives the increase in the force of contraction, and increases the force of contraction gives the strength of to the heart to increase the blood flow or flowing increases the aortic or systemic blood flow towards the body, and this gives us a very much important um, help to treat the cardiac heart failure condition in the patients. So here you can see when digitalis is inhibiting the sodium potassium pump, this inside the myocyte it is showing the myocyte is showing the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and this inhibiting increases the calcium inside this sarcoplasmic reticulum and ultimately gives the increase in the force of contraction. So let us see the pharmacokinetics of our digitalis glycosides today. So pharmacokinetics include the absorption, distribution, and elimination of cardiac glycosides in the body. So absorption, distribution, cardiac glycosides vary in their absorption according to their sources and their chemistry. So presence of food in stomach delays the absorption of digoxin and digitoxin. If you are having a food in your stomach and you are taking the digitalis, it will delay the absorption of this our digitalis. Then the digitoxin is the most lipid soluble glycoside. Then volume of distribution is of the cardiac glycoside are very high and all are concentrated in the heart muscles, skeletal muscles, liver and the kidney. So the metabolism of digitoxin is partly metabolized in the liver and excreted in the bile. Then digoxin is primarily excreted unchanged in urine and rate of excretion parallels creatinine. So renal impairment and elderly long life here in the patients who are having kidney problems or renal problems or elder patients. In that patients, the digitoxin and cardiac glycosides having long half-life. So this is you have to keep in mind. So here you can see in the table, lipid solubility is according to given table, the Cuban has low lipid solubility, digoxin has medium lipid solubility, and digitoxin has high lipid solubility. So oral bioavailability is 0 for Cuban, digoxin having 75% is absorbed after oral administration, and digitoxin is having more than 90% of the bioavailability. This is the pharmacokinetics. Then the pharmacological actions of digitoxin or cardiac glycosides on the heart. Let us see. It acts on the failing heart only. So here you have to keep it in mind that when we are taking the cardiac glycosides, it is only useful for the patients which are having a congestive heart failure. Means in the normal patients or normal working heart, the digitalis or cardiac glycosides will not show its effectiveness as shown in the congestive heart failure. So the failing heart is nothing but the inability of the heart to pump sufficient blood to meet the metabolic demands of the body, and the heart reduce efficiency of the heart as a pump. Means our heart is working as a pump and which is pumping the blood towards the body to get get the various needs of the body through the blood. So whenever the action of this heart is in heart unable to perform this function properly or unable to uh, pump the required amount of blood into the systemic circulation, that leads to the condition called as the congestive heart failure. So cardiac glycosides are only useful in the congestive heart failure or failing heart condition rather than the normal heart situation. So here you can see whenever the failure takes place, it decreases the cardiac output, that is the low amount of blood into systemic circulation, that increases the sympathetic nervous system, and sympathetic nervous system innervates or increases the heart rate to match up the body metabolic requirement or blood requirement by the systemic circulation by increasing the heart rate, increasing the preload, increasing the afterload, and increasing the angiotensin second release, and this will increase the blood volume into the systemic circulation. But somewhere in the patients who are suffering from cardiac like sorry congestive heart failure, they are unable to get this by the nervous system also. So that time we have to go through the cardiac glycoside treatment, and we have to take the cardiac glycosides to match with our uh, congestive heart failure situation to get the uh, effective management of this situation. So here you can see the pharmacological actions of the cardiac glycosides on the heart. It 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 has a direct effect on the myocardial contractility, and it has electrophysiological properties, and also have a vagomimetic effect. So force of contraction, uh, the cardiac glycoside dose dependent increase in the force of contraction in the congestive heart failure, that is called as the positive inotropic effect. Then the tone of the heart, that is increased. So we have to identify the difference here. The cardiac stimulants are different than the cardiac glycosides. So in which way they are different? They are different in the way of our oxygen consumption. Means the cardiac stimulants increases the oxygen consumption, while the cardiac glycosides reduce the oxygen consumption, or which helps the decrease the requirement of oxygen to the heart, and by which we can get the increase in the heart performance and get the necessary requirements in the systemic circulation and body's requirement by the heart. So here you can see the rate and conduction is affected by the cardiac glycosides. So cardiac glycosides useful in the bradycardia, slowing the impulse generation, delay the conductivity of AV node. Means our body is pressurizing the heart, and in such condition our heart is unable to give that requirement or fulfill that requirement. We have to decrease the these requirements from the body and increase the ability of the heart by using the cardiac glycoside to fulfill the minimum requirements of the body. So the cardiac glycoside is acting or facilitating heart to get that requirements fulfilled. So here you can see by the graphical representation I have shown that when in the normal heart is having this stroke volume, while the digitalis in the cardiac heart failure, this stroke volume is suddenly decreases, and here you can see the digitalis is increasing this stroke volume towards the normal, but it do not go to the normal. So digitalis increases the efficiency of the heart, and so that we are using the digitalis or cardiac glycosides according to patient's requirement in our pharmacological part. So by this uh, graph you can very much understand how the cardiac glycoside is increasing the congestive heart failure patient towards the normal life. Means the congest patients who are suffering with the heart failure can live a normal life by decreasing the minimum decreasing the metabolic requirements by the heart. Means body has a higher demands, but heart is unable to supply. So cardiac glycosides make heart up to that capacity to give that space minimum requirements of the body that should be fulfilled by the heart, and this helps various congestive heart failure patients to live their life very conveniently for the further life. So what are the next electrophysiological actions of our digitalis and cardiac glycosides? So cardiac glycosides act via two actions like autonomic and direct action. So in the direct action, you can see at the therapeutic process, it prolongs the action potential, it prolongs the action potential, then shortening the action potential, and it increases the excitability of the heart. So this is very much important feature by the direct action. and while at the higher doses it reduces the resting membrane potential, then further stages after potential themselves reach the threshold to elicit the action potential. This is called a ectopic bit and coupled with the preceding normal one. So we have to only understand that about we are increasing the heart action towards normal but not the normal. So we have to keep it in mind that cardiac glycosides will only um, raise the heart ability towards the normal but not to the normal. So it has also pharmacological actions on the blood vessels also. So mild vasoconstriction in normal individuals, then in the congestive heart failure compensated by improvement increase in the cardiac output, no significant action on the coronary vessels. So let us see the cardiac glycoside adverse effects. So cardiac extra cardiac effects like nausea, vomiting, and anorexia. Then chemoreceptor trigger zone stimulation, headache, blurring of vision. Then magnesium hypomagnesia increases the toxicity. Then calcium hypercalcemia increases the toxicity. On the cardiac side, you can see the it is having excessive ventricular automaticity. Then if you are taking the cardiac glycosides along with the different drugs, so here are the different uh, interactions that are take place. Diuretics, if you are taking the diuretics with the congestive heart, with the cardiac glycosides, so there are the hypokalemia can occur, and we can take the potassium supplementation if required if there is a hypokalemia. In calcium, it increases the digitalis action, that is the force of contraction. Then in arrhythmia, then propranolol and calcium channel blockers decreases the AV conduction and oppose the positive inotropic effect. So if you are taking the propranolol and calcium channel blockers together with the cardiac glycosides, it decreases the atrioventricular conduction and oppose the positive inotropic effect. So another contraindications are hypokalemia in elderly patients which are suffering from the various renal impairment problems, severe hepatic disease problems. They are more sensitive to digitalis. Sometimes diastolic dysfunction of the heart occur due to the digitalis overdoses. Partial atrioventricular block occur. So let us see the therapeutic uses of digitalis in the congestive heart failure and cardiac arrhythmia. So as I told you about the congestive heart failures, it useful uh, in this situation there is a inability of the heart to pump or give the uh, body's metabolic requirement. In this situation we can use the digitalis and we can increase the force of contraction of the heart, and we can increase the ability of the heart to give sufficiently to give fulfill the metabolic needs of the body. So we can use the digitalis by the process called as the digitalization. Here you can administer the digoxin by intravenous route, and we have to keep it in mind this the digoxin has a very low therapeutic window and less margin of safety. So a very few amount of dose is required according to patient condition. That is, therapeutic dose of digoxin is restricted to zero point 0.5 to 1.5 nanogram per ml. Means uh, the dose is very much less that is required in the nanogram. So we have to keep it in mind that if the higher doses of the digoxin is given, the heart may go in the diastolic arrest and the condition get worse. So here we have to use the process of slow digitalization in which we can administer the 0.25 milligram daily dose in the evening up to the 5 to 7 dose 7 days, and this is called as the slow digitalization. So margin of safety and therapeutic window is very less. Then rapid digitalization, we can use zero point 0.5 to 1 milligram, 0.25 milligram every 6 hourly. We have to monitor it for the toxicity, and within 24 hours we have to administer the digitalis. So it is called as the rapid digitalization. While rapid intravenous not used now, this is the condition we are not using in the treatment now. Then in the cardiac arrhythmia like arterial flutter, in this the higher arterial rate we have to take. Here the digoxin enhances the AV block and reduces the ventricular rate and converts arterial flutter to fibrillation, and that reduces the arterial effective refractory period. So this is the electrophysiology of the heart where the is acting and helping us in the treatment of these two different cardiovascular problems like heart failure and the cardiac arrhythmia. So today we have stopped here.